Hey guys,
Hello everyone.
welcome to another video. Today it will be the other way around. We will be taking a look at one of my games, and Trimlok hasn't seen the game yet and will tell you what he might have played in the different situations. And yeah, it will be a game against a Whalmer. And now without further ado, we will just start taking a look at the game. And as you can see, interestingly, there are a lot of cards out. Shield Bugs, Creep from the Deep, Bee-Bear, Hamster Lion, Death Weaver, and Luca Tower. So, yeah, quite a bit of information revealed.
Alright.
And yeah, then I had to check again which cards are out with that many being revealed. And then you can see my starting hand in a second. And yeah, Trimlok, what do you have to say to the starting hand?
So wait, do we go first or does the opponent go?
Yes, we go first.
Alright, so we have 2 times the Manticore. Usually I don't like it when I have 2 copies of the same card in my hand, because it makes me more unflexible most of the time. Sometimes it can be, of course, really good, but most often it's just less flexible. And in that case, I think I would prefer having 5 different cards. What would I do here for the start? That's actually quite difficult. I think I would start with the Manticore, because Berserker is not really an option for me. It's just giving the opponent the option to create tempo, because it's doing nothing at the start. And yeah, Mummy Puss is a little bit too... I'm not sure. Manticore's probably the pick, because I can answer with another Manticore if he takes the first one. And if he takes the first one, it's because he wants to play a smaller creature to pressure us, and we can't take over because of his Manticore, and he can just destroy it when he attacks. But if we have the second Manticore, it's maybe fine giving him the first one, and if he takes the second one, it's quite a risk that our opponent is taking, I'd say. But it would also be an option to, of course, say we start with the Sharky Crab Dog, because we have the Manticore as an answer for it. And if he takes that, we have another Manticore to answer. So I'm not sure between those two, but I'm pretty sure I'm not starting with Berserker, and I also don't think I would start with the Elephantopus. I think I would start with the Manticore, because if we start with the Mummy Puss and we play the Manticore and he doesn't take the Manticore, of course we have an answer to the Mummy Puss, but he can just play something like the Scorpion to protect it, and then we have a really difficult situation with the Mummy Puss on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I, at the end, made a decision also to go for the Manticore, because if the Manticore isn't Mindbug, that's just a very nice way to maybe get something like the Mummy Puss into play, which is a potentially very powerful creature. And if the Manticore is Mindbugged, I think there are ways to react to this, either with playing a second Manticore, or at some point the Elephantopus is also somewhat nice of an answer, because it can very nicely block the Manticore if at some point maybe it will attack and take out a creature or something, and then the Elephantopus can block it without dying. And so at the end I also went with playing a Manticore. And now, then of course there's the question, will the opponent Mindbug it? Because I think the Manticore is a creature that definitely often is justified to maybe take it. It allows to bring certain strong creatures into play, maybe some sneaky creatures, maybe something like Goblin Werewolf. So if the opponent has some of those cards in hand, it can be very tempting to take it, to have the chance to get those strong creatures into play, with having a very strong way to get them out in case I would Mindbug them.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind whenever you start the game and are thinking of starting the game with a bigger creature, it's always a little bit risky because they could have the Brainfly on their starting hand, and so that's always something to keep in mind as well when you start the game.
Yeah, so as you can see, the opponent did indeed decide to Mindbug the Manticore, and now what would now be your second play as a reaction to that?
I think so. I'm thinking about playing Manticore or Elephantopus because all the others don't really make any sense, because he can just attack us and destroy our creature, and he doesn't even need to trade for it. So it's really between Elephantopus and Majestic Manticore. If we play Elephantopus, we of course have now the strongest creature on the board, makes a little bit of pressure. But what we have to consider as well is that if we do that, we don't create a lot of tempo, and he can, of course, just make his play to play like a Goblin Werewolf, something really powerful with lower power, and we don't have the immediate answer to it, because if we Mindbug it, he destroys it. Of course, he would need to trade his Manticore because we have the Elephantopus then, but still, can be really difficult if he starts the game with something like a Goblin Werewolf. And maybe it's worth it for him to let the Manticore die in that case and lose maybe one life to our Elephantopus just to have his Goblin Werewolf. So I think it's quite unlikely that he Mindbugs the other Majestic Manticore, because it's just so risky to have both Mindbugs gone and have the same creature twice, so it's just a backup. It's not helping him on the board state, it's just a backup for the other Manticore. So I think I would just play the other Manticore.
Yeah, I think that is a good decision. However, I went in the game with the Elephantopus, which now looking back at it, I'm not sure if it is the correct decision, because first of all, as you said, if we have our own Manticore, the opponent doesn't really have the option to go for something like a Goblin Werewolf play. And also if the Elephantopus gets Mindbugged, which I was thinking is maybe not that likely to go all in that early for the Elephantopus, but who knows, can potentially be possible. Then it's also we don't have the most pleasant answers at the moment. Then we maybe would be forced to play the other Manticore unless we draw something that is stronger, and it is a bit unpleasant. So I think going for the Elephantopus here is a bit risky and also allows the opponent maybe a stronger play. And so I think looking back at this decision, maybe I also would agree with you that the Manticore is maybe the best play. I went with the Elephantopus, and it doesn't get Mindbugged.
He doesn't Mindbug it. I mean, I think it would have been unlikely that he Mindbugs it. Just a little bit too early to go all in.
No, and I mean, it has some advantages to have the Elephantopus on board. It can be quite restricting, so I kind of liked it to get it out now with hoping that it won't get Mindbugged, but yeah, I think maybe the Manticore would have been the better play here. Now the opponent wants to play a hamster line, and the decision is, do we want to Mindbug this or not?
This is quite an interesting one, I think. So it's interesting because if we have the hamster lion, we do already have a little bit of counterplay against his manticore, because of course he can play his lower creature that is really powerful, but he probably can't attack with it. But I'm not sure. I mean, we don't have a perfect answer for it. We would need to trade it if he attacks with the hamster lion, with any of our poisonous creatures. I think I would take it.
No, it was a close decision for me, but I also made the decision to take it. Because we have a bunch of low power creatures that could potentially be powerful, so the hamster lion could also be quite a bit restricting at the moment. We can't really play those anyway because of the opponent's manticore, but hopefully at some point maybe the manticore will be gone and the hamster lion can just be very restricting, and also now limits the ability, as you said, for the opponent to maybe use the manticores immediately to bring out a strong low power creature. And so I at the end went also for mindbugging it. So let's see what the opponent will play next. We both have used now one mindbug already, and as you can see, the next card that is displayed is the Snail Hydra.
Okay, interesting. It's of course a powerhouse. Snail Hydra is always really, really strong. It's of course the highest power on the board. It's also a creature we can only kill with our poisonous at the moment, or if we are on 1 life and our Berserker would be active. That would be another option. But if we let him have it, we have to sacrifice creatures, because we can't play a creature. He would just attack with Snail Hydra, kill it, and we couldn't even trade with the Snail Hydra then. So that would be quite bad for us. Yeah, I don't think I see another option than taking it and go all in.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't want to start sacrificing one of those creatures, as both of the creatures that I have on board here are potentially quite powerful, and it would be quite a bit awkward to just start attacking with them to have another slot for another creature that the Hydra then can't take out immediately. So even though it is quite a bit dangerous to use both mindbugs that early, I don't think it's really a nice alternative to let the opponent have the Snail Hydra. There's of course always now the looming threat of the Brainfly, but at least the good thing would be that if the opponent plays the Brainfly, then they have 3 creatures in total, meaning then there would actually be a slot in order to get one of the
funny thing is the Brainfly couldn't attack and couldn't block, so he would need to let it on board.
Yeah, that's actually a funny thing. So yeah, now I'm relatively early all in with my mindbugs, but I have at least some interesting creatures on board. But it was the question if the board will be strong enough, but I was hoping that all of those effects might be somewhat limiting to my opponent. So as you can see, a Gorilla is played, and now there's again the question, what do I do now? The opponent has not the strongest creature with the Gorilla, so basically if we don't want to lose a creature, we have to play something.
Yeah. So attacking is not an option. We can play something with low power at the moment because his manticore can't attack. So can do that, of course. Berserker is also not really an option for me. It's just not fast enough at the moment. Plus 1 Mindbug, of course. I mean, what we could do is play the Spider Owl and start making pressure with that, because we would win the race at the moment if we play the Spider Owl, and he can't immediately destroy it because of our hamster line. And if he takes the Spider Owl, his Majestic Manticore can attack, but it would destroy his own Spider Owl, so the effect of Manticore is less good then. And we could answer with our own Manticore. And could get a double trade-off if we attack with it. Of course, here's a little bit of time in between that, but I think that would be quite nice. I think I would start with the Spider Owl.
Yeah, so what I think could potentially be problematic with the Spider Owl is that there is maybe the opponent can't react to it immediately because of the hamster line at the moment, but there is the chance that he has some 4 or 5 power creatures in hand, and if they just start playing one of those, then at the turn after we can't really do anything about it, that they can attack with the Manticore, take out the Spider Owl, and then maybe we can block with the Elephantopus, maybe it's not too bad.
I'm not so sure about that, because if he plays another creature on board now, he has 3 creatures, we attack him one time, he goes down to 2, he attacks us with the Manticore, destroys our Spider Owl, and we could just block with the hamster line. And no, sorry. He still has... No, wait, he would have the... Let me think about that again.
So I think the opponent then would have the
we would need to block with the Elephantopus. We couldn't utilize the Snail Hydra.
I mean, we could potentially utilize it with maybe getting a strong creature out. But I think I rather would like to also keep the hamster line on board in such a scenario. So because of that, I think there are some downsides to the Spider Owl. Then if we play something like the Mummypuss, then there's also the problem that if the opponent should decide to Mindbug it, maybe then we could play our own Manticore and potentially take this out, but the opponent could also play a lower power creature, and we can't really react with the creep from the deep, because then the Manticore could just attack and take out the creep from the deep. So I think maybe it could be an appealing option to actually go for the creep from the deep. If it is Mindbug, then we can answer with the Mummypuss and potentially take out anything because it has Hunt on Poisonous. If the opponent wants to at some point take it out with the creep from the deep, that's fine at the moment. They can't do it anyway because of the hamster line. So I think the creep from the deep could potentially be a very interesting card to play. And it's also a bit more tricky for the opponent to find a exactly 5 power creature to then be able to attack with the Manticore and only take out the creep from the deep. So I think maybe that could actually be the most appealing option in the game. I went for a little bit of a special play and actually went with the Berserker, which is maybe a bit weird. My thinking process behind it was, I think that of course the opponent at some point might be able to attack with the Manticore and then take 1 life out of the Berserker, but the Berserker would still be on board and the Elephantopus would also still be on board, and having the Berserker maybe protects other potential creatures from me from being removed from the Manticore, like Mummypuss or Creep from the Deep, but I'm not really sure about this, and I think
I don't like that play too much, because it also makes your Snail Hydra so much worse.
No.
It's a creature that doesn't make a big difference on board, and it makes you a bigger board state, so gives your opponent more freedom to play his own strong cards without getting punished with the Snail Hydra. But I think what also is quite interesting is maybe reacting with the own Majestic Manticore.
Yeah, I think that's also a very solid option.
Maybe that's my favorite line here.
Yeah, I think my 2 favorite lanes would probably be Creep from the Deep or Majestic Manticore now with looking back on it. with the game. I maybe played it a little bit too hasty and went through with the Berserker, with the thinking being that maybe it will protect cards like Creep from the Deep that I then can get out, but I am really not sure. No, I don't like it that much looking now back at it. So the opponent lets me have the Berserker. I can't still attack with the Majestic Manticore, so now let's see what answer or what card they will play. They now find a 4 or 5 power creature. Manticore could potentially take 1 life out of the Berserker. So it could have been maybe an idea to even attack with the Gorilla, but the opponent goes with the Lurker, which allows the Manticore to attack, but is at the moment not the biggest threat on the board. So what we think is maybe best to play now?
Berserker makes it difficult now. We play the Mummy Plus now. We have a defender against the Gorilla. It can't be killed by the Manticore. So he doesn't have a perfect answer for it. If he takes it though, what do we do? It's probably not the play. I mean, we could just answer with a hurler and give him the trade if he wants so. It's interesting. Also try to play 2 very powerful things in a row. Activate Hydra, but I'm not sure if we have 2 things that he really wants at this moment. Don't think we can punish him with that. So, that's a difficult one. I'm not quite sure what's play here. We could of course just no, hurler's not really an option. I think I would play Manticore or Grab Dog.
Okay.
Just maybe another Manticore, because it's a really nice answer if he does have the Snail Thrower, because Snail Thrower can be really ugly with his Lurker. So it doesn't help us at the current board state a lot, but if he does have the Snail Thrower, we are really happy to have it.
Yeah, that's true. So I think the Manticore would be a very solid play. I'm not sure much I like the Mummy Puss, because we maybe don't have the best way to deal with it. If we want to maybe at some point take it out with the Creep from the Deep or something, then it gets Hunter.
Yeah, we would need to trade it with our Hurler probably.
No, that I don't like too much, so I think the Manticore would be a very solid play. In the situation, I think I went at the end with the Creep from the Deep, getting a Hunter on the board. If it is Mindbug, we can answer with the Mummy Puss. I have the option to maybe take it out, or if they at the moment can't attack with the Creep from the Deep anyway, so it's not really helping them a lot at the moment. And it could be nice to have a Hunter on board also is potentially an answer to the Snail Thrower if they have it. One downside is that it is maybe more vulnerable to something like Kangasaurus compared to the Manticore, so I think I also like the Manticore play quite a bit. Maybe it's preferable. At the end I went with the Creep from the Deep here, because it doesn't help the opponent right now, and it would have with the Mummipus relatively nice way to answer to take it out if we really want to. But I think maybe I also in the game needed some time to come to a decision here, because it's a bit of a tricky situation.
Yeah, it's basically you can play every card without Spider Owl.
Yeah, the Spider Owl would be bad. It could immediately be taken out by the Manticore. All the other cards could have a case here, I think.
Yeah, all other cards are reasonable.
So as you can see, the opponent has Mindbug it, and there's indeed the Kangasaurus Rex, so the Manticore in hindsight probably would have been the better play, not allowing the strong Kangasaurus Rex immediately, but the opponent might have kept it in hand anyway. At some point we might have played another 4-power creature, so at least it is out now, and with less creatures, maybe now there could be a chance to activate the Hydra. So let's see what are you thinking now about the situation.
Because now we can play something that you really, or he can't really Mindbug, otherwise he will activate our Snail Hydra. Except if it has poisonous, then he has already 2 answers on board, so our Snail Hydra will definitely die, so we can also play something with poisonous.
Yeah.
But a double trade is still very, very good.
Still very strong.
So this is still what we're trying to do. Get him to Mindbug something. Or just get a very strong creature if he doesn't do it. Yeah, I think the Parrot is also quite interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely a nice creature to have on board, and now it could be a nice chance to get it out.
Yeah. This Manticore can't kill him at the moment. And we could start pressuring him with Elephantopus maybe. And if he trades the Majestic Manticore at some point, we can really make pressure with the Hamster Lion. So I think I like the Ferret quite a bit. Also play something very flexible now, like the Mummipus. That's maybe more likely to get Mindbugged. Right now he can still attack with his Goreline if he wants to. So maybe we also need something that can stop that. I'd also consider playing the Hurler, but I think his Manticore is maybe too strong then, because he can get a really good trade with it if he has the buff from the Hurler.
No, I mean, if the opponent wants to keep the Manticore, then of course it would mean that if we immediately activate the Snail Hydra, maybe take out the Goreline, they wouldn't block the Snail Hydra, leaving it on board, but still, yeah, Manticore could of course be a bit threatening. And Also, the Hurler could still be dangerous to have in the opponent's hand, so even if the Hydra maybe gets a 1 into 2 trade off, the Hurler is still a potentially very powerful creature, can take out the Berserker. It's an answer to some of our other creatures like the Ferret Pacifier, so even though the Hurler would probably be the card that I maybe would like to have the most in play right now, I also, even though the Hydra can be activated, was a little bit hesitant.
I think I would actually play the Mummiposs.
Yeah, so I was thinking about Hurler, was at the end a little bit too afraid that it maybe still could have been too big of an effect for the opponent, even if we maybe get a nice trade-off with the Hydra. And at the end I also went with the Mummiposs. It has at the moment Poisonous with the Manticore, so potentially we can use it to block the Gorillion. It can potentially stop the Lurker at some point if that should at some point get a problem. It prevents the opponent from maybe playing out something like Goblin Werewolf, which could still be strong with the Manticore. So I think it is just a very useful and flexible card. And if it gets mind-bugged, we can then activate the Hydra, and while the Mummiposs could also be strong in the opponent's hand.
At the moment, it's not really bad for us if he takes it, because it only has Frenzy.
No, so it's not really that bad. Immediately can of course still cause some issues at some point, but I thought that is just a solid play here to go for the Mummiposs.
Yeah.
And playing the second Manticore, I think, could maybe also be an option, but that one we maybe can get out anyway, because maybe it's a little bit less likely to be mind-bugged.
Yeah, I think it's not very likely that he mind-bugs it, and he can play another creature.
Yeah, and now with the Hydra being activated in case the card that we play is mind-bugged, I think it's always just a nice opportunity to get something strong in play.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a little bit of a waste to play the Manticore now.
Now we see the rest of our deck. We have a Turf now, so this is everything we've left in our deck here.
Yeah. So the opponent lets us have the Mummiposs, and now has to also again decide what they want to do. And interestingly, the Manticore will take out the Berserker. Which creature would you block with?
Definitely with the Elephant Opus. I think there's not really another option.
Yeah, I think that's relatively clear. Just keeping the Elephant Opus on board, keeping all the other strong creatures on board, and at least having still one more creature, which is of course with the Hydra not that great, but having still some potentially strong creatures. And now again, it's the decision what to play next.
I think now that his poisonous creature is out, the Ferret is really, really nice to have, because our Hamster Lion can pressure a lot now if he doesn't take it. And if he takes it, it's right now not that big of a problem for us, because we don't have a big enough creature to block the Gorillion anyways. So I think I like the Ferret.
No, I think that looks like a very solid play. I think I went for something different. We have to see. I think I actually went with the Spider Owl here. Now having an answer to it with the Mummiposs, and maybe applying some pressure with a sneaky creature in case they let the Spider Owl through. And also, if the Spider Owl gets mind-bugged, we already have the answer on board, meaning we can maybe play something like Hurler, get a very strong Hunter on board. So that was my thinking behind playing the Spider Owl, but I also like your point of the Ferret Pacifier, maybe really allowing the Hamster Lion to put a lot of pressure on the opponent, and the Ferret Pacifier, at least at the moment, not being that much of a threat. Especially we also could then play the Hurler and maybe hunt it down immediately with the opponent having used its the last Mindbug. So I think the Ferret Pacifier, I also like this option quite a lot, and but I went with the Spider Owl, thinking that maybe I can put some pressure on the opponent with sneaky creatures instead of the Hamster Lion, and if it gets mind-bugged, the answer is already on board.
Fair enough.
Alright, so now the opponent lets me have the Spider Owl, meaning they probably have some kind of an answer.
Yeah, and here's 2 more creature slots now.
Yeah, that's true. So the Hydra, I mean, maybe allowed us to play the Mummiposs, but apart from that, didn't have the biggest impact. But it's always
it always makes a lot of pressure.
No,
even if it doesn't attack. Okay. And thinking quite a while.
Yeah, so maybe they have some answers, but maybe not the most straightforward one, or maybe a bit costly ones. But no, didn't like it to Mindbug the Spider Owl, and of course, that was my also a big point of playing the Spider Owl. I just forgot about that. You have the Elephantopus, so if the opponent takes the Spider Owl, we can actually just attack with the Mummipus. The opponent can't block with the Spider Owl, and we are also winning the race. So we do not only have an answer to the Spider Owl, we even if the opponent takes the Spider Owl, can apply immediate pressure. I think that's a very nice combination together with the Elephantopus. If you have the Mummipus, the opponent has a sneaky creature, then the Mummipus can attack, but with the Elephantopus can't actually block the Mummipus. So that was actually, I think, my main point about playing the Spider Owl. That regardless what the opponent does,
That's
we
a good
immediately
point.
apply some pressure. And the opponent plays now an Explosive Toad, which is, of course, definitely an answer to maybe take out the Spider Owl, but maybe it at least potentially takes an action out of the opponent. So
yeah, it takes him some time, and we can deal him 1 damage. So I think you probably attack him now with the Spider Owl.
Yeah, that was, I think, definitely also my play, just applying pressure immediately, forcing the opponent maybe to immediately use the Toad, bring 1 life down, and the Toad is gone again, so good. Yeah, would be the right play. So the Spider Owl attacks, gets 1 damage through. Let's see if the opponent will indeed immediately attack with the Toad, or maybe they have a different answer. No, Toad attacks. Of course, we just block it so that it dies, and then the opponent can decide which creature he wants to eliminate. And of course, I expected the Spider Owl to be eliminated, but of course, if the opponent has another answer, maybe they also want to use the Toad to take out something else, and actually, indeed, the Mummipus is taken out, which is an interesting decision.
So maybe something like the Shark Dog is a follow-up for him?
Yeah, that could
to get a really nice double trade.
Could potentially be nice, but at the moment, the hamster line is still on board, so it will be interesting to see how the opponent will now deal with the Spider Owl. Maybe there's also another Kangasaurus or something.
Maybe a Tiger Squirrel.
The Tiger Squirrel.
Tiger Squirrel could really be really difficult for us to handle.
No, I mean, it would need to take out the Elephantopus, but it would
sure,
be
but it's a really good trade for him.
On the other hand, if the Tiger Squirrel is played and removes the Elephantopus, the Hydra is immediately active again, so I think that would be actually not that too bad for us.
Yeah, you're right. I think that would actually be quite beneficial for us.
So now it's my turn again, and I think...
So that's quite interesting what he has as an answer now.
Yeah.
So just attack with the Spider Owl again, I guess.
Yeah, that's I think also what I did. If the opponent needs an answer, I think it's just best to see if they maybe, or to ask the question if they actually have one. And now I was interested to see if the...
Does he have another Kangasaurus? No. Okay,
no.
He does have the Tiger Squirrel.
Does have the Tiger Squirrel, makes the right decision with taking out the Elephantopus. That could have potentially been an easy oversight, forgetting about it, but the opponent thinks about it, removes it, which is good for them. But now, of course, the Hydra is again active, and it could be an appealing option to just attack with it.
I'm pretty sure attacking with the Hydra is the correct thing. It's just the question, what do we take out? But I think I would... I got the... I mean, you could go for the Goreline or for the Tiger Squirrel. Depends how greedy you are. I think I would attack the Goreline though.
Yeah, I think taking out the Goreline so that
taking out the Tiger Squirrel is a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, I mean, it's... No, it's just then the Hydra gets blocked immediately. I think it's just a stronger play to take out the Goreline. The moment there's the hamster line on board, so the Tiger Squirrel can't attack at the moment anyway. We have the Spider Owl to maybe force it to block with the opponent only being on 1 life. We have the Manticore, we have the Hurler, so with that many answers, I think we shouldn't be worried about the Tiger Squirrel, and instead activate the Hydra, take out the Goreline, and then the opponent has to block with one of the other creatures, probably even with the Kangasaurus. to make it that the Hydra can't just take something out again if the opponent now plays a card.
But I think right now it looks really promising for us.
Yeah. So I also thought at this point that it looks quite promising, but the opponent will now play a card that makes it a little bit tricky again. Maybe you can have a guess what card it might be. No, it's revealed.
Ah, okay, he does have the snail thrower.
There is now the snail thrower, and now out of the sudden he has a lot of poisonous hunters. The Elephantopus is not on the board any longer. They have a very low power creature now with the snail thrower, meaning those hunters can just attack. Well, we do have some options maybe to take the snail thrower out. If we play something like Manticore Hurler, it can just be hunted down immediately. So what would now be your answer to the situation?
I mean, we could of course just attack with Spider Owl and get the trade. That would be one option. Another option would be playing the Manticore now. But could just let us have it and hunt it immediately with the Lurker. We would only get rid of one life of the Lurker with that play, which probably isn't enough. Same for the Hurler, would just attack with the Lurker. That's a tricky one. I think Turf could be interesting, because if we play Turf, he of course can't take it because Hydra.
Yeah.
And if we have it, he probably will hunt our Hydra anyways. And we can start make pressure with Turf. Maybe I would just attack first.
No, I
think I just attack.
I remember it was also quite a tricky situation, and I actually have to see also again what I played. I think either I played the Manticore, so I'm really not sure about this, or I also just attacked. Let's see what I will do. It was definitely a tricky situation now. Out of the sudden, all of those poisonous creatures, the Lurker is even a tough one. So with the opponent still having one Mindbug left, we basically have the same amount of cards that we can use, because the opponent will take one of mine potentially away. And at the moment, the opponent would maybe be able to trade potentially favorably with the tough creature. So I was a bit afraid of the snail thrower being a bit difficult to handle. And now it could have been, at the end, as you said earlier, nice to maybe have the Manticore already on board, because we don't know how the game would have went then, but it would have been indeed a very nice answer to this snail thrower. And now, sadly, activating the Hydra won't also really that easily be possible at the moment, because we can't really force the opponent to Mindbug something, as it can just be hunted down. We don't have any tough creature in hand, so I was a bit worried, had to think about it, and let's see what I will decide. And yeah, I actually did play the Manticore. I was really not certain about it. I think I maybe just wanted to force my opponent's actions a little bit, them having to hunt the Manticore down immediately. But it's the question if it is that useful. Not really sure, but just attacking and removing something, I mean, could also be a fine option maybe.
So if we attack with the Spider Owl, he takes the trade with the Tiger Squirrel. Then he attacks with the Lurker, takes out our Hydra probably. And we only have the Hamster Lion left in that case. If we do that, so it would also be quite a bad situation to be in. We of course could then play the Manticore and take out the Lurker because he's forced to attack the Manticore. So we would have the hamster line, he would have the snail thrower basically. Yeah, I think there's not really a perfect solution for this situation.
Yeah, it's a very tricky one.
It's maybe fine like that. Maybe I would have played Turf, because I think Turf can make a little bit of pressure in this situation, so that he maybe blocks earlier with the snail thrower than he wants to.
That is true.
I think I would have played Turf.
I also thought about it, I think, but it can also potentially just be taken out, which is maybe fine, because then the other creatures can maybe potentially stay on board.
Yeah.
But I also thought that Toph maybe in the situation with the opponent being on 1 life, if all of the trade things are happening, I thought that Turf maybe can also be a difference maker with the opponent being on 1 life, and maybe the ability to choose one creature that cannot block can really make a difference on just getting this one last damage through. So because of that, I at the end preferred it to keep Turf in hand, but it can maybe also be fine. But the Manticore also will be taken out, meaning maybe the other creatures can potentially stay on board. At the end, I like Turf as the potential to maybe sneak the last damage through. But it was I was thinking that maybe this game is now going into the wrong direction with maybe the opponent being now able to do some favorable trades, maybe having one card more, but there are also still some interesting cards in hand. Turf could make a difference. Maybe the Ferret Pacifier could still be problematic after some trades are happening.
Guess he will take out the Manticore now?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And then again, it's the question, do we want to play something? Do we want to attack? What is your take on this now?
I think I still like the Turf play, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it could be a fine play with maybe then applying some pressure, making it difficult for the opponent to choose.
Could also play the Hurler to trade with the Lurker now. Then it's our turn and we can attack with the Spider Owl, and he has to block, so he doesn't have a Hunter anymore to take care of our big creatures. So I think Hurler's is quite good here. And if he takes it, we can activate Hydra.
No, I mean, the Hurler can potentially get also hunted down, but it means, of course, that some of the other creatures...
But if he hunts it down, his Lurker is dead.
Yeah.
And he needs to do the trade with the Spider Owl and the Squirrel, and then he doesn't have any Hunter left for big creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there can still be answers on his hand, but I think it's not a bad play here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it could be a good play here. Yeah, I think I see it that it either way. Definitely, if it gets Mindbugged, it's definitely a problem. But no, it can be hunted down, but then Tiger Squirrel is gone, and there's still Hamster Lion and Snail Hydra on the board. So yeah, I think maybe the Hurler is actually the correct play here. Now that I think of it. I actually went for, if I remember correctly, for attacking with the Spider Owl to take another Hunter out, but I think the Hurler probably would have been the better play here and being maybe causing a bit more issues to the opponent. I thought maybe that I want to keep it in hand, but it can also, of course, easily be Mindbug later on, so now I force the opponent to block with the Tiger Squirrel, take out one of the Hunters. Now the Lurker can potentially still take one of those creatures out. And the Lurker attacks. I was expecting it to take out the Snail Hydra. Which would you choose in this situation? Which creature?
I mean, it all depends on the cards on the hand, of course. But I would think you would take out the Snail Hydra first, without knowing what's...
I mean, the Hamster Lion can of course be a bit It can be a bit creepy with maybe if there are a lot of trades happening, then there's the hamster line on board still, and then it's just over. So I think there's definitely a point for both creatures. I was so kind of hoping that maybe the hamster line is taken out, because that could give another chance to activate the Hydra at the next turn, with maybe bringing a creature into play that the opponent would like to Mindbug, but if it's Mindbug, the Hydra is activated. So I think the hamster line maybe could also still be quite problematic, maybe when because of that the opponent maybe takes it out. But now there are some options with the Hydra. So,
Yeah, for sure. I think turf could be really nice here. I mean, we could of course just force the trade, but I don't feel so comfortable about that, because we can also utilize the effect of Snail Hydra now.
Yeah.
And I think that's way better. So I think I would play turf, because turf can make a lot of pressure now, and if he takes it, of course, it's really bad for him, because we can just activate Hydra. On the other hand, though, we are very vulnerable to Brainfly if we do that. I mean, we are vulnerable to it anyways, even if we don't play it here. That's a little bit of a problem. We can't really do anything about that. I think Brainfly would just be... yeah, would probably be a neck-breaking for us.
Yeah.
Because it's also the hunter with poisonous. So I think we can't really play around Brainfly here. Ferret is also not an option because of Snail Thrower's ability.
I mean, we could still attack with the Hydra, take out the Snail Thrower immediately.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot that for a second. Of course. But I think... I mean, we come to the conclusion we can't play around Brainfly, so I think I just play turf.
Yeah, I think that would be... I think all of the three cards could potentially be interesting. All of them might actually might cause some problems to the opponents. Turf and the Ferret Pacifier with limiting the opponent's options to block, and the Hurler maybe with being an answer to potentially for some creatures that could still be played. I at the end went with the Hurler, thinking that maybe it could still be powerful to have a Hunter on board, being able to remove some stuff. If it's taken away, then the Hydra gets activated, but I also definitely see the point with Turf doing a lot of pressure immediately. But I thought the Hurler, maybe it could still be important to have a Hunter on board, but at this point it of course depends a lot on the cards that the opponent has in hand, and the problem is of course also that the Snail Thrower is still on board if the opponent lets me have the Hurler, meaning that if there's something low power blade, then it at the moment also still is poisonous, so taking it out with the Hurler would maybe be a trade. On the other hand, if the Hurler takes something out as a trade, then the opponent maybe has to play something again. I mean, they could also just attack, but then there's the danger of the Hydra maybe still being activated. So, and then maybe there's another chance to get Turf out. So I went with the Hurler here, but I think going for Turf immediately, and with that also being quite pressure, putting quite a bit of pressure on the opponent, would also be a very nice option. But it's a bit tricky, because with the opponent still having one Mindbug, now the actions have to be very efficient and the trades have to be quite good, otherwise the opponent has maybe the upper hand. But at least now there is the chance to get a potentially strong card out with the Hydra being able to take it out. So because of that I was quite happy to see the hamster line removed, but I can also definitely understand that the opponent might find it quite threatening to leave this on board, with maybe it making quite a difference. There are just a lot more braids happening. So I play the Hurler and expected it to maybe it not get the Mindbug, but of course it depends on the opponent's cards. But with the Snail Thrower at the moment still being on board, I thought that maybe the Hurler will be not Mindbugged, and the opponent indeed lets me have the Hurler.
I think actually all three options would be totally fine.
No. I think all of them put some pressure on the opponent, and all are somewhat tricky to handle maybe. And the opponent plays now the Spider Owl. We would have the option to take the Spider Owl out or the Snail Thrower. There's again the option to activate the Hydra, so definitely some interesting options again. And what would you be doing?
Interesting. We probably should play a card. Just because of Hydra.
No.
And not do the trade at this moment. I mean, of course, you can start applying some pressure with the Spider Owl now. But we're still on 3 lives, so we can utilize the pressure that Snail Hydra can give to us. So still think Barret, Pacifier and Turf are both quite reasonable. Maybe I would prefer Turf still.
No. I think again a lot of options can be fine. I think playing a creature is probably the correct move, because there's also a thing with the opponent having only 1 Mindbug or having 1 Mindbug left. It can be beneficial to maybe let the opponent have the last Mindbug, not play the last card, because if the second last card now gets Mindbugged, it maybe in a different situation means that the opponent can use the card, of course, so it's a swing, while if the opponent can't use this last Mindbug, then then there's just 1 card removed to play.
Wait a second. No, I think if we attack now with the Hurler, take out the Spider Owl, he either needs to play a card from hand, which he probably doesn't do because of Hydra, or he attacks with the Snail Thrower. If we block with the Hydra, the board is clear now, and if we then play the Ferret Pacifier, he's basically forced to use the Mindbug, because otherwise he just dies to it. And if we then play Turf, I think we win.
I mean, yeah, unless there's of course Brainfly or maybe the second Tiger.
Yeah, but Brainfly, I think he would have played that earlier, because that would just end the game probably.
It would be too strong, especially also with having the Snail Thrower. So the Hydra is probably not there, also probably not the Squirrel,
so I think I really like the attack here.
No, I think the attack is also very fine. And
I don't think there's really a great answer to it. Is there?
I mean, any stronger creature that gets played can't block with Turf. If there's a Frenzy creature, would it be weak enough? I don't think so, because the Frenzy creature...
So we're thinking the board is clear now, and he has just Mindbugged the Ferret Pacifier, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Because I don't really see another scenario. I mean, there's the option he doesn't attack with the Snail Thrower, but plays his last card, but that's only really an option if it's a Scorpion, basically. And if it's a Scorpion, we take out the Snail Thrower, we take 1 life from the Scorpion, he attacks us, we're on 2. And we play the Ferret, he takes it, we play Turf, he attacks with Scorpion, and we take 1 damage. Do we win this? Wait.
But I mean,
I think it's fine to attack the Spider Owl now.
No, I think it's definitely appealing to... Yeah, definitely has something appealing to just attack with the Hurler now, because then the opponent has a problem with the Hydra being on board, so... and maybe has to attack with the Snail Thrower, then potentially there again also could be the option to play something, activate the Hydra potentially, or to just let the trade happen. And let's see, I'm actually not quite certain. I think I might have actually also gone for attacking with the hurler. But let's see what I do here. I think I kept the other 2 cards maybe in hand for now. So let's see, it's a bit of a tricky situation. I think it's generally looking relatively good. I think there are some options that don't really have a lot of counters to it, but yeah, it's now interesting to think it through. Which options does to have which answer? Oh, and I actually go for the ferret pacifier. Interestingly, it's an interesting choice, which of course can also be problematic for the opponent to let it have me, but could potentially also be taken out immediately. I mean, my thought from earlier was that maybe now there's the chance to play something with the opponent's Mindbug not really being worth that much, meaning that maybe they will just keep the Mindbug to prevent me from playing the last card, which can be beneficial.
I would think he will not Mindbug this.
Exactly, so if then the Mindbug is left, the last card can't be played, meaning the Mindbug isn't a swing in the terms of a card being transferred to the opponent, it's just me preventing this card, but the opponent doesn't get it, so there are, I think, situations where it can be beneficial to maybe play it like this, that the opponent is stuck with the Mindbug not being used at the end, and maybe I think that was part of my reasoning, just now wanting to play this Ferret Pacifier, then either being able to activate the Hydra or having it on board, which also, of course, is somewhat limiting, but I think it would have been actually also a very interesting option, as you said, to attack now, take one of the other creatures out, or the spider owl, and then being able to...
If he has anything in hand that is power 4 or less, he just wins the game with this play, right?
Not sure.
Because he plays it? No, wait. Can he do that? No, he can't. Okay.
I think this also has definitely some good chances.
If he has the something with power 4 or less that has natural poisonous, then I think you just lose the game, right?
Sure.
You play the pacifier, he probably attacks with the spider owl, get a trade-off, and he takes out the hurler. It's your turn. You can maybe attack with the ferret pacifier, force him to block with the snail thrower, then he attacks you with the poisonous, and yeah, you have to do the trade at some point, and then you can just Mindbug your last card. So I think that was quite risky.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it works like this. I think the opponent would definitely need to take out the ferret pacifier, and then...
Why though?
Because if the ferret pacifier stays on board, if it doesn't get hunted down, if I keep it as the last creature, then the opponent can't block. So I think that has to be taken out, but yeah, it definitely could be problematic. So
okay, let's say it like that. If he has the poisonous 4-hunter, what's its name?
Creep from the Deep.
Creep from the Deep, yeah. I think that could be very problematic in that situation.
Yeah, definitely. I think the option proposed by you with playing the ferret pacifier on after the turf, after clearing the board, I think there probably were less answers to it. So I think probably that option was preferable. At this point, I thought maybe with the ferret pacifier being on board, I have some potentially also nice options, but yeah, there are definitely ways how it could go wrong.
He takes it here, so I think we're quite fine with that.
Yeah.
Now we can attack with Snail Hydra. I guess that's what you do. You're attacking with Snail Hydra now, probably?
Yeah, I also think that this was the play now, just taking out Snail Thrower probably. remove the poisonous, and then there's still the Hurler to take out the Spider Owl.
The Ferret Pacifier is not scary enough for us because we're still on 3 life. I think it's fine.
No.
And he now probably takes the double trade against our Snail Hydra.
No, probably they have to do it like this. With only one card being left in hand.
And some time pressure as well now. Only has 4 seconds.
Alright, so the trade is happening, and now it's the question, what is the last card? It's the Goblin Werewolf, and with that the game is basically over. It can just be taken out, and then there's nothing left for the opponent to do in the situation. And Turf would also still be in hand. So at the end, I think it went fine, but I agree that maybe the option of playing the Ferret Pacifier wasn't really ideal, as there maybe could have been if there is another poisonous hunter or the creep from the deep. I mean, there's a poisonous hunter, the Hurler could have taken out the Snail Thrower immediately, but then there's no answer to the Spider Owl, but there also probably needs to be no answer to the Spider Owl because it needs to block anyway, so I think there weren't also that many answers to the Ferret Pacifier.
No, for sure. But
so the creep from the deep
there are probably even less answers to both the other variants. I think Turf is probably even scarier for him, and also attacking. I think attacking is the best option, because I don't think it's that likely that he can get out of that.
Especially with the 2 best answers, Brainfly and Tiger's Drill, being unlikely that they wouldn't have been played already, with the Hydra being very oppressing. So I think those 2 answers probably wouldn't be there, and then there are really not any good answers left. So yeah, I think I also like the attacking play the most. At the end, luckily for me, it went also fine with the Ferret Pacifier. At the end, I'm able to win this game, which was an interesting one. I think at some points I definitely misplayed. I think playing the Berserker was definitely a bit weird, maybe led to some problems potentially. It was interesting with the Manticore being on board, with the Hamster Lion being on board, and then at some point it looked very good, but out of the sudden the Snail Thrower was played, and before I played my Manticore, and with that it got quite problematic again, and it got very tight, very close at the end. But luckily I at the end could manage, with a bit of a help from the Hydra, to maybe get out some strong creatures, and the opponent not really being able to Mindbug. I then was luckily still able to win this game.
I really enjoyed watching this. There were so many unclear decisions to make.
No, I think at many points there are a lot of variations, and it's difficult to decide which one was best, and I was happy that I maybe did some misplays, but at least managed to maneuver the game to, at the end, still being able to win. Yeah, so do you still have to say something to this game, or?
I think I said everything I can say.
Okay, yeah. Then I hoped you all enjoyed taking a look at this game. Leave us a comment if you noticed something interesting or think that we maybe overlooked an interesting option at some point. And yeah, then thanks for watching, and see you next time.
See you.
Goodbye.